Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining this application support webinar for the Maritime Accelerator 2023. My name is Iwona Wilk and I'm the program manager for this accelerator. So the purpose of today's session is really to provide an overview of the program and the application process, as well as provide you with some background information on our Maritime flagship program that the Accelerator is a part of. So the agenda for today is quite simple. We'll kick off with, like I mentioned, some background information about Connected Places Catapult, the maritime sector opportunities, and what we as an organization do in that space to accelerate innovation. I will then move on to talking about the accelerator itself. So we go through the key dates, the processes, and we also talk about the challenges that we have scoped for this accelerator. The third part of the event is the Q&A, so it'll be your chance to ask your questions. So for housekeeping, we have the Q&A box, so please put your questions into that box at any point during the event, and we will pick them up towards the end during the designated Q&A session. So our speakers for today, I'm joined by three of my colleagues, Mark Ray, our Ecosystem Director for Maritime Ports, who will shortly be taking you through who we are and what we do in the maritime space. My colleague Paul Wilson, who's our systems engineer, will talk about the maritime challenges that the accelerator is focusing on and solving. And my colleague Venetia Holtz, the accelerator team lead, will join us towards the end of the session and also help answer your questions. So I'm now going to hand over to my colleague Mark, who will tell you a bit about Connected Places Catapult.
Thank you, Ivana, and good afternoon, everybody. I'm afraid I won't be quite as animated as our video there, which has covered some of these points in these early slides, but so bear with me. First of all, of course, we are part of a network of catapults. So catapults, for those who aren't familiar, are research and technology organisations. We operate on a not-for-profit basis, but we are private organisations and a part of the bigger Innovate UK family of innovation support agencies and organisations. And the Catapult network itself covers a wide range of particular fields and areas, and of course we work closely with a number of those where we have joint initiatives and of course common areas of expertise. But the Connected Places Catapult itself, we focus predominantly on mobility, on the built environment and the urban landscape, the critical infrastructure that links out these urban landscapes, and the health and well-being of those who live within them. And of course, we work a lot with those who shape those, so those who are driving public policy and decision making at both a national level and local level. So on to the next slide, please, So as the opening video introduced, we are the UK's innovation accelerator for cities, urban spaces, transport and place leadership. We work connecting across a variety of different markets, connecting them up, so working across things like utilities and major infrastructure providers and operators. And we're here to help spark that creative thought process, providing access to innovations and ideas across a range of different technologies, particularly around digital technologies and decarbonising technologies when it comes to transport systems and maritime. Next slide then, please. So when it comes to considering the future port systems and how ports will evolve, then this slide gives a feel for the sort of technologies, sort of aspects that we're going to be interested in within the maritime space. So those that are coloured green on your screens, and hopefully everyone is watching on a colour screen, those that are green are those that relate to decarbonising activities and initiatives. And those are the blue, relate to digital or logistics improvement and operational improvement technologies. So as you can see, we cover a wide range of initiatives and technologies and areas, both on the land, on the port side, and also with the vessels on the water side. Next slide then, please. So what drives us and why are we here? What's the role of the catapults? So one of our primary things, of course, is to drive economic growth. And we are particularly focused on regional economic growth in line with government policy and in line with our own ambitions in terms of looking at those regions, those local areas where there has been poor economic growth in the past. And we're looking at how to improve that through the introduction of these different technologies. Of course, being predominantly funded by UK government, then of course we are here supporting predominantly the growth of UK businesses and how to commercialise research that emerges from our academic networks and our industrial networks. We have a particular focus, like most government funded departments, on about accelerating the transition towards net zero and decarbonising our activities, particularly our transport activities and those which relate to energising our built environment. We're here to stimulate cross-sector opportunities, and that, of course, is one of our great strengths, looking at a range of different sectors. Although we're here today talking about my personal sector, the maritime and port sector, of course, we operate across a number of different verticals, including rail and rail stations, aviation and airports, and of course, localized place-based initiatives. We're here also then, not only do we look across sectors, we also look across disciplines and throughout the supply chain, looking at how can we build up connections, how can we drive efficiency into how those supply chains are operating, and how can we, of course, look at resilience. And there's nothing more that certainly has risen up the agenda due to recent years with economic shocks from different global events. And we also, of course, have a keen focus on the opportunities that lie globally and overseas, because of course we are an island, and our market here for maritime, particularly in maritime and ports, is not just here in the UK, but we are part of a global network, and there are global opportunities with other countries who are on similar pathways to us in terms of adopting digital technologies to drive operational efficiencies and also driving autonomy and decarbonising of our transport systems. Next slide, please. So some of the things that we focus on, of course, we're looking at how can we use innovation to drive and to solve barriers and to solve challenges that slow us down. And of course, I'm sure you'll recognise these. They're not just exclusive to, but certainly to maritime. But a lack of confidence in finding new solutions. Often it means in terms of investing in large capital projects or new technologies. And you want to have confidence that what you're investing in is the right solution. For those who are old enough to remember the days of VHS versus Betamax, you want to make sure you're picking the VHS version and not necessarily opting for the Betamax version. So knowing how to pick out the winners, what's the most likely to succeed, what's appropriate for the use case. Of course, again, with large capital sums, of course, and when you're investing in new technologies and new innovations, of course, that carries with it an amount of risk. And when you're working with sectors, and I came from the infrastructure sector before I joined the maritime sector a few years ago, maritime is very similar. Again, it has low operating profits, and therefore it doesn't have the funds to readily invest in new innovations and take risk in like some other industries do. Access to funding, of course, is always a challenge, funding and finance. So finding that investment, particularly when you're looking at such large sums to address these sort of major transformational changes, they require significant and stable investment over long periods. So sometimes this can be a challenge to find. And again, of course, this is something that we work hard on in terms of identifying where are those pathways and what is appropriate. driving, obviously, to address these funding issues and risk issues, and collaboration is a great means to address those and to solve those. And again, we operate to help organisations find each other, to come together through our networks, to understand each other's issues and opportunities, and therefore to lead on to the opportunities to collaborate either with each other or with us as well on projects. And of course, that's one of the defining parts of or features of a catapult, is that we are able to enter into projects and undertake activity directly with consortiums. We, of course, through our work, access a great deal of knowledge, and we look to package and curate that knowledge to disseminate that and provide some degree of foresight and insight into where industries are going and how transformational change can be adopted. So we work on these sort of roadmaps and playbooks. We've got a number of those in our back catalogue, and of course that's a big part of our work going forward in the maritime space, plotting those pathways to adoption of digital technologies and decarbonising. And through that as well, and through those insights, again, of course, we provide access to market insights and the challenges that those markets face and where opportunity lies across those. Next slide then, please. Of course, with all this activity, that means we have an awfully large ecosystem that we engage with. The maritime sector is very diffuse, as I'm sure those who are in it know, and perhaps those who are new to it perhaps don't fully appreciate. But because there are so many transformational factors that the industry is looking at, there are a large number of stakeholders and influencers who are very widely spread, not just in this country, but also internationally, because this is a global challenge and because we operate at a global level as the UK. So again, a big part of what we do at the Catapult is help to connect these different parts of the ecosystem together and help organisations navigate their way through and find the right people to engage with on the right matter. Next slide, please. So just to give a bit of a flavour of the sort of places that we work and the sort of activities that we get involved with. Our main national programme that we're running, which of course this Accelerator is a key part of, is our Maritime Innovation Flagship. That has with it a particular focus on a particular place, which is our Maritime Innovation Zone that we are co-delivering with our partner for that programme, and that's based at the Port of Tyne, where we've done a number of projects in the past and have a good relationship with the team there, and we're very proud to be their partner on their innovation journey and bring in our flagship program to utilize their facilities in terms of creating a living lab and creating a physical presence there. We're also at a national level part of, we are the co-founder and driving force behind the UK Freeport Innovation Network, which helps connect the 8 English freeports, so 7 seaports of direct relevance and 1 airport, along with the 2 Scottish green ports and the Celtic Welsh port. We bring those together in a singular platform, a client-led platform, looking at how they are going to drive innovation through their organisations. Where are their opportunities for collaborative working? What are their common challenges? And how can they find their way to finding solutions to those innovation challenges over the next several years? So they all have very ambitious programs. Also part of a couple of other sort of nascent networks as well, related to green shipping, relating to future skills, and also to our future trade and borders as well. So how are we going to trade in a digital space, in a global space going forward? And then the rest of those there that are on the screen there give you a flavour of the sort of projects that we've done right the way across the country, obviously working with partners in those regional clusters, particularly along the south coast, the southwest, the northeast and the northwest. Next slide then, please. And as I touched on in that last slide, our major programme that we're operating, which this Accelerator is part of, is our Innovation Flagship programme. This is a funded programme It is funded by Innovate UK and is going to run for 5 years. We're currently at the start of year 2 of that program, so still lots of life, lots of activity still to deliver in part of that. It's very much about exploring those future technologies and doing programs like this, like the Accelerator, helping bring new solutions to bear and demonstrating them at our living lab at the Port of Tyne. Again, driving across the country, driving that regional engagement, supporting those clusters that are forming across the UK, focusing on innovation in maritime space, focusing on those free ports and how we can help them with an innovation platform, and stimulating the pull through, therefore, of demonstration sites and living labs in these various locations where there is significant activity, dovetailing, of course, with the Clean Maritime demonstration calls and the zero emission vessel and infrastructure calls from UK shore, of which the Catapult has undertaken 6 projects so far under Clean Maritime, and we have a number of applications going through ZEVI at the moment. Of course, a big part of, as we move forward with the flagship program, as these innovation opportunities come forward, a big part of that is about going to be driving up investment into those projects, into those locations, and really help growing the UK's companies and the UK economy by seeking investment into these innovative solutions to drive the adoption of those as part of our bigger program of investment into innovation for the maritime sector. Next slide. I think that's my final one, isn't it? It's the next one, which is just a montage and as I'm fairly new to the Catapult, I've only been with the Catapult for 2 months. Of course, this is a montage of photographs that I'm not in any of them. This is largely my predecessor's work, and he was a jolly good chap. So these are largely them. So we'll slowly replace these over the next couple of years with some photographs of our current work. This just gives you a feel for the sort of the size of events and the range of events that we put on as we started to drive our innovation program and start our flagship program. Right, handing over to you then, Ivona.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you for this very insightful presentation. So let's move on now. So our Accelerator program. So as with our all of our accelerators, they really sit at the heart of what we do at Connected Places Catapult. So over the past 4 years, we have delivered 8 accelerator programs, and in total had 19 cohorts of SMEs that we worked with. Our acceleration programs range from place to sector focus and always address the challenges of those places or sectors, and really trying to help the participating SMEs to fast track their growth, and also where possible to test their technologies with our partners. On average, generally, our accelerators are between 4 to 6 months programs and support cohorts of up to 12 selected SMEs. And like I mentioned before, they address the challenges driven by the industry, government, or local authorities. And we work with SMEs by delivering bespoke programs of both technical and commercial support that is really designed around their needs and ambitions. So our accelerator programs are also enriched by the wider CPC's technical and market expertise. So we work with the stakeholders to understand the challenges faced by various sectors, for example, maritime, and we really dive deep into those challenges by providing relevant supports to SMEs and partners that we work with. Our network includes over 4,500 SMEs, and we really ensure that we select the most relevant SMEs to join our programs by dedicated scouting and selection processes. We run events and we track our impact to also ensure that the services that we provide are of the highest level. And we are considered a neutral convener between private and public sector actors, while also enabling access to funding opportunities through our programs. The Maritime Accelerator is a rolling program of support which focuses on accelerating the adoption of new technologies in the maritime sector and resolving those challenges, most pressing challenges of the sector. So as part of this accelerator, we'll be selecting up to 10 SMEs at TRL 5+ to join a 4-month program. And we have brought into this program a number of ecosystem partners that represent the industry, government offices, and academia. And all of them bring various opportunities into this program in the shape of technology trials, access to their facilities, their knowledge, industry knowledge, and access to their own ecosystem of partners and connections. So our partners currently include Ports of Tyne, which is one of the UK's most efficient deep sea ports. We also have DP World, which is a multinational logistics company that specializes in cargo logistics, port terminal operations, and maritime services. Serco, another of our partners, is an operator of over 100 vessels for the defence and nuclear sector customers. National Shipbuilding Office, the government body which focuses on strengthening the UK's shipbuilding sector. University of Plymouth, another of our partners, provides marine and maritime studies and engages with some of the key initiatives and players, such as 2 English free ports, Thames and Plymouth. Holder, our new partner, is an independent design and engineering consultancy serving marine, offshore and defense markets. And finally, Maersk, a global integrated transport and logistics company. We are still in conversations with a few more organizations that are interested in supporting the program. So if or when they come on board, we will certainly be updating all our websites to let everyone know. So what's on offer? So this slide provides an overview of what's on offer to our SMEs in this year's program. So similarly to last year, we'll be providing coaching and mentoring to our SMEs. So that will include things like pitch coaching and one-to-ones with our dedicated CPC advisors. We'll be providing tailored business support for the period of 4 months, investment readiness program, which will be supported by our investment coaches, technical support, which will aim to kind of answer your technology related questions and help you prepare your track proposal, business development opportunities and introductions to potential customers, and also the opportunity really to collaborate with our program partners. Plus, there is this new opportunity that we have this year, which is to design and deliver trials with our program partners. So I'm now going to hand over to my colleague Paul, who's going to talk about the Accelerator challenges.
Thanks, Ivana. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. So, as Ivana said, I'm going to take us through the challenges this year, how we got where we are, and what the final challenges are. So myself and some colleagues at the Catapult engaged with a large stakeholder group within the maritime sector, ranging from shipyards, vessel operators, and ports and harbours all around the country. The idea being there that we wanted to focus on getting broad maritime challenges that then would be prioritised by the partners. So we did that first stage of identifying the challenges and opportunities, and then did a lot of internal desk-based work around the themes and the challenge areas. And we entered in a discussion with our partner organisations to prioritise those challenges. Then there's some more internal work to get to the final challenges, which I'll happily show you now. Could you have the next slide, please, Ivana? So the challenge areas that we got this year that came up were automation, and it's around how can automation bring efficiencies to the maritime sector, Then we've got decarbonisation. How can technology improve the maritime industry's decarbonisation journey? And future skills. How can technology support the skills shortage within the maritime sector? So all three of these have been really important within the maritime sector over the last few years, especially around the efficiencies and bringing how can they make processes work a lot smoother than they already do. There's a lot of unknowns in the decarbonisation journey currently in the maritime sector that came up through our interviews, and that's an area we would really like to help them with, and future skills, especially around the new technologies that are going to be coming into the sector. Next slide, please. So for our automation challenge, we're seeking SMEs with solutions that can automate and improve operational efficiencies of the physical assets within the port. So we're looking at here manual handling equipment, I suppose. So cranes, container shunting vehicles, forklift trucks, straddle carriers, reach stackers, big plant equipment basically. Vessel operations and harbour activities. So we're looking at the vessels that are operating in ports and harbours there. So it could be ships that are coming into port and harbours, to be them leisure vessels or cargo vessels, or it could be even patrol boats and work boats within the harbours. And then logistics to improve the supply chain management. So that's something that especially the shipyards were saying there's been a big issue, is keeping a track of stock and logistics, and some of the other partners have said that around that logistics and supply chain and asset management availability and tracking is a big issue. So we'll definitely be happy to see applications around these areas. Next slide, please. The decarbonisation challenge. So we're seeking SMEs with solutions that can help support with decarbonisation efforts by better understanding operational efficiencies of the future fuels. So this is a big question in the maritime sector currently, is what future fuels will operate within what ports. So Maritime have become very aware that there's not going to be a silver bullet for the sector, and there's not going to be one future fuel. It could be battery electric, hydrogen, ammonia, methanol, and anything else up to nuclear people have discussed. So people are after some confidence about how their operations are going to be with future fuels. And again, this isn't just vessels, this is shoreside equipment that will be changing away from internal combustion engines. Tracking and monitoring of carbon emissions. So currently, this is not something that happens very much in the sector, but a lot of ports are keen on proving that they're improving their emissions. So this tracking and monitoring of carbon emissions is getting increasingly more called for in the sector. And then reducing port infrastructure emissions, so everything from buildings to plant equipment in the port, and just making everything, reducing those carbon emissions and improving air quality in ports. They're some of the biggest polluters in most cities that they're based in, especially for vessels that are at shoreside. So it's definitely an important area for the sector. Next slide, please. And then future skills challenges. So we're seeking SMEs with technology that can help identify and transfer relevant skills from other sectors. So this is something that came up a lot in our interviews with stakeholders, is that the skills in maritime are not maritime focused. A lot of them, especially newer digital skills, are available in many other sectors. A lot of the engineering skills that are in other sectors are transferable as well. So helping the sector to identify and transfer some skills from other sectors would be greatly received and help them with that skill shortage they've currently got. Upskilling existing staff to create a workforce that is ready for change. So this is something that the maritime sector has got a big issue with, is their reluctance to change. They've been quite a slow moving industry with innovation. All their innovation went was fast when they went from sail to combustion engines on vessels, and then it's kind of been steady state since then. But they've got another revolution coming in the industry, and there's a worry that they're going to lose a lot of skills for people that are not ready for the change. So any technologies that can support existing staff to get ready for that change is going to be greatly welcome. And then our last one here is help reduce the demand of physical assets in training. So this is being able to train people or on equipment imports without having to take the equipment out of operation, or deconflicting some tasking from training, so that training is planned properly and tasking can take place and not be impacted by any training that needs to carry out. So they're quite broad challenges in all of the 3 sectors that we got there, but I'm sure that especially on the call there's some SMEs here that have got some bright ideas that can help solve them. Back over to you, Ivana.
Thank you very much, Paul. And yes, I do agree. I'm sure we have a lot of SMEs with us today that see themselves fitting into this accelerator. So I will now take us through the application and selection process. So in terms of the eligibility, we are looking for UK registered businesses that have innovative solution that addresses one or more of the challenges that we have in our accelerator this year. You have to be also willing to engage with the program and travel on occasion to face-to-face meetings. So we are mainly planning to have at least 2 face-to-face events, so the welcome day and the final event, but there might be some other opportunities and sessions face-to-face. So as much as I would like to, we don't want to impose any new, but very much being kind of that willing to take active part in the accelerator is something that we're looking for, and preferably at TRL 5+. So the application process or the application form, you can access through scanning the code, the QR code that you see on the screen now. And I think one of my colleagues will also put the link in the chat now. So it is a 2-step application process. If you have applied for other programs at CPC in the past, there will be 1 stage, but if not, when you register, you have to register first and then kind of go back and then submit your application form. So if you see that first form, that is only the first step. So please make sure that you go into the next step. And in terms of the timeline, so we are now obviously in the applications open stage. Applications are open until the 3rd of July. We will then shortlist from all the applications that we receive up to 20 SMEs that we will invite to technical and commercial interviews. So that will be around 7th of July, where we will notify the selected 20 SMEs. So then 12th and 13th of July are our technical due diligence interviews, and 19th and 20th are commercial due diligence. So I would like to, everyone who's considering applying, I would like to ask you to kind of block those dates in your calendars almost now. I'm just conscious that the timeline, there's quite a short window between shortlisting and those interviews. So just make sure that you're kind of prepared and have got these dates booked in your calendar. The interviews themselves are going to be quite short, about 30 minutes, and you'll only be invited to 1 technical, 1 commercial interviews, but just make sure that you're aware and have them in your calendar. So then we will select the final cohort of up to 10 SMEs on around the 28th of July. And then we really would have the welcome day on the 15th of August. So again, something to put in your calendar maybe now. So that will be kind of your opportunity for the first time to meet other SMEs and also our partners, and we'll be taking everyone through the kind of details of the program at that point. We will also be running a needs assessment sessions around the welcome day as well to kind of understand what your needs are and really create that bespoke program for you. Then in November, end of November this year, we will have the showcase event. So this is part of our Maritime Growth Summit, an event that we also run in March this year to conclude the first year's Maritime Flagship and Accelerator program. So really kind of an opportunity for SMEs to come and showcase their technologies. There will also be speaking opportunities or panel joining panel discussions as part of that event, and really opportunity to also speak to other attendees like investors, like maritime stakeholders. So in terms of shortlisting scoring criteria, so in this first stage, we'll be looking at things like your solution, your traction, team, and program, so program fit. So within solution, is your solution innovative? What is the unique selling point of your solution? What is your technology? So that'll be 25% of the mark. Then traction, what has been your traction to date? Have you got any clients that you're currently working with? Team, have you got really demonstrated the kind of experience and capability to join the program, but also to potentially develop and deliver a trial? And then fit for the program. So how do you align with the challenges of the program, and if you were also to deliver a trial? So this is really an example of our program structure. So we have, like I mentioned before, 4 months that the program will be delivered through from August to November. So it will consist of workshops and webinars, one-to-one business coaching, investor network access. There'll also be progress check-ins with myself, and there will be support to design your trial proposals. So in terms of workshops and webinars, we'll be looking at things like market sizing, your value proposition, access to grants and funding, financial forecasting, marketing strategy, pricing and revenue. So these are all kind of our standard workshops that we can deliver. Like I mentioned before, we will be tailoring the program to each of our SMEs. So while everything is available to everyone, we will also give you a proposal to kind of suggest, based on the needs assessment sessions, what we think you would benefit most from, but you can always join other sessions as well. Really just some quotes from our last year's, two of our last year's participants who told us that, Karen Levy from OceanWise, that being part of the Maritime Accelerator has enabled them enabled a number of their team to receive coaching on aspects of business that they may not have been aware of before. And this has greatly added to their understanding of how to run a business. And they can now use this to continue to build OceanWise's into the future. And then Vitaly Chikhanov from Ant Machine said that the Maritime Accelerator is a well-balanced program that adapted to the needs of their company and provided support in many aspects of the project development that they could think of, and it went beyond expectations for them. So we had really great feedback from last year's SMEs. It was really a pleasure to work with them. And from our perspective as well, it was quite a kind of smooth collaboration. So again, we are looking for SMEs that are really ready to engage with the program and really benefit from it. So this is really it in terms of our presentation. I'm now going to open our Q&A. In terms of contacts, there's myself, Accelerator Program Manager. Ivan is our Scouting and Ecosystem Manager. Some of you might have already spoken to him. If not, please do also get in touch with him with any questions. And Venetia House, who's our Accelerator Program Team Lead, who's also available here to answer the questions. So let's move on to Q&A, and if I could just invite all colleagues to also come in and now, and we'll take some questions. Right, okay, so we have a question from Andy. Will there be an opportunity to work directly with partners? So the question is, the answer is yes. We have partners that will be kind of fulfilling 3 different roles. So we've got partners that will be focusing more on those trials, helping to design and host the trials. We've got partners that will be more sort of in between, perhaps enabling trials, but also providing some mentoring support. And then we also have partners that will be supporting mainly with those kind of introductions, ecosystem building and mentoring. So yes, we will be very much trying to create those collaboration opportunities for our SMEs. Then we have a question, would there be any grant funding as part of this program? So we do have a fund available to support the trials. So it's £80,000 that we have available. There is no assigned amount per SME, so we will try to distribute the fund among selected trial projects. We are currently working with our partners also to kind of design what those trials opportunities are, and then once we have the final cohort, we will ask them to create their trial proposals once they're on the program. So it will be quite a collaborative also process once we have the cohort selected. Right, could you repeat which dates the interviews would take place? Right, yes, so that was 12th and 13th of July for the technical interviews, and 19th and 20th of July for commercial due diligence interviews. So let's move on to the... Right, so I think I've answered, James, I think I've answered your question now about financial assistance. Just to add to that, the accelerator is fee-free and equity-free as well. Right, next question. Right, well, is there a specific output, for example, report that members of the cohort are expected to deliver at the end? Well, there isn't a report that we expect our SMEs to deliver. We will certainly be collecting kind of outcomes and achievements of the program and any lessons learned as part of end of the program report. So we will be asking you some questions at the end, and we'll run a survey. Well, output, at a specific output, we don't have expectations, but we hope that that the program obviously delivers value for you. And I think Paul wants to add something here.
Yeah, I would add that the only specific output we'll expect from everyone is a trial plan to go ahead to the trial phase. Yeah.
So thank you, Paul. So I think that answered Stephen's question. Right. Is there any criteria for the team size? We are a small team of 2 as a startup. Would that compromise our opportunity to get selected? My answer would be no. You know, as long as you're competent and actually can prove almost that you know that you would benefit, and that you, if you get a trial, can deliver the trial, then the size of the team doesn't necessarily matter. Right. How many of the previous cohorts have gone on to work directly with the industry partners? So we are still tracking the impact of the program. I can confirm that several of our SMEs are still working with our partners, are delivering projects. In terms of numbers, well, it is definitely more than 2. We only finished the program in March this year, so we're still kind of checking the progress of those. I don't know, unless Paul can add anything to that, but I know that we have several projects going on with our industry partners at the moment.
If I can just add something about that, I think although we can't share a lot of the details because they're in the preliminary stages of working out exactly what will be trialed or how those conversations will grow, I think it is testament that we've got a lot of repeat partners from last year, and they definitely saw the merits of the program last year and have joined again, and we've actually managed to secure new partners as well. So definitely testament to the quality of the program and the desire to be part of it.
Yes, thank you, Manisha. Then we have a question on what's the average time commitment for webinars and etc. per week. Well, it will really depend. If we design the program, if after the needs assessment we think you would benefit from all the sessions, we on average the webinars would be I think every 2 weeks, plus some could be additional webinars and support, but it's mainly one-to-one. So as much as we think, we would encourage you to kind of attend all webinars, but it's really that one-to-one work that is almost going to be decided with your designated CPC expert or some external support experts as well that we're bringing in. It could be an hour a week, or it could be 10 hours. So it will also be redesigned around your availability as well. So I hope that answers your question. Right, Alaka, for both of the interviews, it is necessary that the CEO or president needs to join, or it can be product lead or head of growth. Right. Well, I would say that the most relevant person, usually the person who can answer either the technical questions or the commercial questions. So we don't have expectations on who joins those calls. It's really, please send whoever you think is most relevant for those sessions to be able to answer those questions. We will have our commercial interviews will be also attended by our partners. So perhaps that also gives you some indication on who to send to those interviews. Are you looking to bring in external consultants to support aspects of the accelerator, for example, financial model? So yes, we are working with a few of external providers as well, who have a really good track record and have worked with our programs before, so they will also understand who we're working with and what sort of normal profiles of our companies that we work with are. So yes, that answer is yes. As these programs are more over consortium, you would help us find a partner among ourselves, or we can bring in our partner. Right, so I think the question is around, can you bring other organizations to form a consortium to apply, I think. So the answer is we would like to receive applications from individual companies, really, and that really helps us then to design the program for each of them. If you think that your solution benefits, or the trial perhaps would benefit from bringing in a partner into it, then please indicate that as part of your application, or ask your potential partner to also apply. separately, just mark it somewhere in the application that you're related. And are projects more focused on ship decarbonizations compared to port decarbonizations also welcome? Okay, right, so ship decarbonization versus port decarbonization. Paul, thank you.
Yeah, there isn't really any kind of preference either way. We want to see projects that are focusing on ship and port decarbonisation. So we're not focusing on just water side or shore side at all. We're open to see what comes along.
Thank you. There is a question from Stephen. What is the expected applicant success rate to your accelerator program? I'm not entirely sure I understand this question. Venetia, does that sound like something?
Yes, I think, well, I'm assuming it's to do with the success of getting trials for commercial contracts maybe at the end. I've seen that before in some of the questions, so I'm assuming that's right. I hope Stephen lets us know if that's not. In regards to that, I think it's obviously we're looking to solve real challenges that our partners are facing, and we hope to be able to that solutions are to prove value in these areas. So it's all about putting forward a strong trial proposal. We've got a small pot of money to facilitate those trials and then to prove that value, and to be able to get a contract would obviously be dependent on that. So I think in general, it's not going to be sort of seen in those terms of we would like to see these solutions trialed. We would like to see the SMEs on our programs grow from the support that we're giving them and from the interactions with the mentors and the partners to unlock those sector insights. But it's obviously not, I wouldn't say it was our primary focus looking at that prime just as a success rate. I would say there are many other benefits that we see on the program as well.
Thank you.
Cool.
Also, I would say that this is only the second year for our Maritime Accelerator, but we've had lots of success or companies on our previous accelerators that have gone on to great things. And like Ivana said, we can't mention any names, but I do know that one of our partners last year is still working with 4 of the SMEs. Another partner is working with 2, and then another partner is working with two as well. So I think that speaks to the success rate of last year, but also if you go on the Catapult website and look at some of the previous accelerators we've run, there's details about the success rates on them as well.
Thank you. And then we have another question, recap timelines for submissions, interviews. I would say the best thing would be to now go on the application website. So we will share the slides where there's the QR code. Otherwise, it should be in the chat, the link. So once you click there, the whole timeline is part of the landing page for the application form. And doesn't need to be a UK entity only. So yes, you have to be a UK registered business to participate. Right. So the Stephen, what is the ratio of potential applicants to successful applicants to your accelerator program? Presumably with the scoring, you are look to take a portfolio approach to scoring. Well, so last year the ratio was well, hopefully this year we have even more applications, but we had a cohort of 10 companies. So this was I think let me just think. Last year I think we received about 50 applications, so so it is quite competitive, and I would expect it to be even more competitive this year, obviously with the program has proven success for last year's cohort.
We don't really take a portfolio approach to the scoring either. It's very much every application is scored independently, and and not fill in any particular boxes as we go through.
Thank you. Okay, so then there's a question from Will: is the application process confidential? Can we openly discuss new designs and intellectual property without risk? Yes, it is confidential. We don't share this. Sorry. We don't share this information, so it is really for us to assess your application internally. Sorry, I'm just going to grab some water.
So just while you're grabbing water, I'll just also put in, well, yeah, while it is confidential, if there are contracts that you're in negotiation or customer agreements you can't disclose, we usually just say if you don't want to name the individual companies, to just give us a general idea of what traction you have or where you're at with certain things. So while it is confidential, we don't also want to put people in a difficult position if for any of that sort of thing. So there's ways of getting around that if you can give us an idea rather than saying explicitly if you're not able to share those details.
Thank you. Much better now. So there is also, oh, sorry, Mark wanted to add something.
I was only going to add, in terms of the confidentiality part, I mean, although we are a private company, we are publicly funded via our grant funding agreement with Innovate UK. So we are bound by the Civil Service Code as well in terms of confidentiality and treating of people's data. So hopefully that will give you some reassurance that we're bound by the same Civil Service Code as government departments and executive agencies.
Thank you very much, Mark. So I think we have time for just one more question. Toby, we're not currently a UK registered business, but would do so if we were successful. Is that okay? Well, I would say if you can, try to register as a UK business before you apply. Okay. One last question for 1 minute. Oh, sorry, Mark wanted to add something.
I'll wait until you've answered this question, then come back to me.
Okay. If we are part of CMDC3, ZEVI, CMDC4 projects, will your accelerator take a view to, sorry, I don't know what that would dovetail into this. So would that have impact, right?
Dovetail. Yeah. So yeah, we're kind of we are independent to those projects, but we will all the business support that's available from the Catapult will help towards those projects as you're going forward, and I'm sure that they'll have an impact on that. But it is much more about working with our partners and building up a portfolio work for you, I guess, around your trials and demonstrations that you'll be able to do in this project, as well as your CMDC3, ZEVI and CMDC4 projects.
Thanks, Paul. And Mark?
Ivana, would you mind just for those who haven't applied last year, but perhaps have applied for Innovate UK grants, or even worse, applied for a Horizon 2020 programme, can you just talk about the size of the actual application process, or the onerousness of the application process? Is it a fairly straightforward process, or are they going to need to commit a lot of time to filling out pages of forms?
Yes, it is a straightforward process. I don't think it should take, if you really, want to spend a lot of time on it, it probably shouldn't take more than an hour to fill out the application form. So it is really about your business, your which challenges you're trying to tackle. So your solution, your team. We are not asking you to propose a trial at the application stage. So this is something we're reserving for the final cohort once we have it. So my answer is no. Obviously, it is very much dependent on the individuals as well. So I think we're going to have to wrap up here. We've got a few more questions, but we'll try to answer individually via email or elsewhere. But thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Thank you, our speakers today, and your help with the Q&A. The slides will be shared with everyone who attended today's webinar, and we will also put the recording on the website. So thank you very much for joining, and I hope to see your applications in the next week or so. Thank you.